Hey guys, this is Warren with Ape Auto Tools, and today I wanted to cover a question that I get asked all the time, which is, what's the difference between all of the different Autel ADAS calibration systems? So today we'll go through them one by one and cover the pros and cons of each, and hopefully that this will be useful for you guys making your decisions around which frame to purchase. So let's start with the MA600. This system is likely the most widely used system across the industry. In terms of pros, it is lightweight and portable. You'll see these in a lot of the mobile tech vans and trucks because it can go from shop to shop quite quickly and easily. It happens to be the most affordable system that Autel sells as well. And finally, it's simple and proven. So on this frame, it's very manual, but there's no electronics or motors that potentially could fail. In terms of the cons, all of the measurements for all the different calibration, whether it's a front radar, front camera, 360, all of them are manual using things like tape measures, lasers, plumb bobs. What that means is that the calibration workflow is slower, and frankly, there is more human error involved. Um, so a risk there. There is no uneven floor compensation, and so you're hoping that whatever environment you're working in is aligned to what the OE is requiring in terms of evenness of the floor. Um, a big one is there is no way to verify the alignment of a calibration. And so with the newer position statements coming out, this is becoming a bigger topic where, you know, an alignment verification is required before a calibration. The last con is that there are no precise calibration reports, and I can show you what one of those looks like. But ultimately, with the newer wave of frames and systems, you have an airtight report that shows all of your measurements. And then, so high level, who is this for? Obviously, for mobile technicians, this is the most commonly used system. Um, for budget conscious shops, so if you're just trying to dip your toes in the water and get started with ADAS, it's a great option. And ultimately, it favors portability versus speed and scalability. So really quickly, I mentioned what a sort of precision report looks like. And so with any of the camera-based systems that use optical placement, you're going to get a readout here, which calls out exactly all the specific measurements, everything from distance to, again, pitch, roll, yaw, things like that. So in terms of a airtight report that you're sending over to the insurance company, uh, this is definitely a benefit of the camera optical based systems. All right, onto the IA700. So this one's it's a unique, I call it like a hybrid system where it will work very well in a shop environment and it's got a smaller footprint, easier to store, easier to maneuver, but it is also modular. It breaks down into 5 pieces, and so you are able to take it from shop to shop. So in terms of the pros, it uses that next generation camera-based placement system. So in terms of the distance, the center line, um, all of the fine tuning, pitch off, roll, those are all determined through this camera-based system, and so very it reduces the amount of manual measurements you need and increases the precision. Like some of the other systems, and again, I call them the next generation systems, there is uneven floor compensation. up to a few degrees. And so even if you're in that shop environment that doesn't have that perfectly level floor, you're able to still conduct precise calibrations. As I mentioned, modular and portable. You can break it down into 5 pieces. I've seen myself that you can essentially fit it into the back of an SUV. That said, there's a lot of businesses that will actually use some sort of crane or ramp to easily move it in and out of a van or a truck. A really important feature is the fact that it can do wheel alignment verifications. And again, certain OEs are starting to require these before certain calibrations. So having this, is an important feature, especially as we move forward. In terms of the precise calibration reports, something that I covered in another video, so you can see um, just the level of um, yeah, and so finally, the last pro again is the fact that you will get that precise calibration report, which in another video I cover. So some of the cons of the 700, you while you can check alignment and verify it, this unit isn't capable of doing the full wheel alignment procedure. So that's going to be the 900 and the 1000. There's also slightly less automation compared to the and the last pro here is the precise calibration reports. Again, these come with all of the systems with the camera-based systems. Um, I've covered in another video what they look like, but it's really nice to have these for documentation purposes. Okay, moving on to cons. So while the 700 is able to do the alignment verifications, unlike the 900 and the 1000, it does not have the workflows for full wheel alignments. So a bit of a limitation. Compared to the 1000, there's slightly less automation. Really, when it comes down to the pitch, yaw, and roll components, you still have to use the knobs to dial that in. And again, more compared to the 1000, the 360 AVM calibrations still require manual measurements, and you don't have any of that laser guidance. So now moving on to who this system is for. Well, the first profile would be a shop that has a high calibration volume, but they already have their own alignment frame system. And so the 700 plays well because it can be used to quickly verify whether a vehicle needs an alignment, but also because of the camera-based system, you can crush calibrations quickly. Another profile that sees a lot of benefit are, some businesses that have more than one location. And so typically when I work with those shops, the frame will stay predominantly in one location, but if in a pinch, it is nice to be able to have the option to bring the 700 to another shop if needed. Same thing here. If you're servicing shops just within your vicinity. So again, most of your calibrations are for your own business, but if needed, with some of your neighbors, you're able to bring it to their shop and do some calibrations. And finally, mobile technicians. It's pretty clear that this is where the future is going. Again, with the precise documentation, uneven floor compensation, all of these things that OEs and insurance companies are looking for um, is delivered by the 700. So you can see where over time, this will likely be phasing out some of the more older school systems like the MA600. So moving on to the IA900. In terms of the pros, the 900 is a true two-in-one system. So not only are you able to do all the ADAS calibrations, you're also able to do the full wheel alignment procedures across all the makes and models. There's slightly more automation, things like auto height adjustment, which helps speed up calibration times and precision. There's also the important uneven floor compensation based on that camera system. And you will be getting precise calibration reports, again, important for documentation. In terms of the main cons, this unit is very much stationary, needs to stay at a single shop, so it's not mobile. And the 360 AVM calibration still require manual measurements, which is a bottleneck for certain shops and businesses. So then who is it for? Again, this is a shop that is high volume, doing a lot of calibrations, but really focused on a single location. It's also, again, for shops who are really looking for the ability to do both alignments and calibrations with a single unit. And it's a good reminder, too, that it's just an incredibly capable machine for alignments alone. And so, if you have an aging or outdated alignment frame, this is a great option for that replacement, which then potentially opens up your abilities to start getting into ADAS, things like that. So now let's move on to the most exciting system, the brand new IA1000. So this is Autel's new flagship system, and it brings two new pieces of technology that are very exciting. So the first are the digital targets for the front camera calibrations. And then there is a laser guided 360 calibration, which we'll look at as well. But diving into the pros, so this is a true two-in-one system, just like the IA900. It is capable of both ADAS calibrations and full wheel alignments. Again, you've got these digital screens for targets, and this really reduces the need for storage as well as setup time. This 1000 really takes automation to another level. So generally, you just it'll tell you where to put in the right direction in terms of distance and center. But once you're in the general vicinity that it tells you, it will auto adjust for the height. It'll adjust where the targets need to be, and then even the fine tuning in terms of distance, left, right, pitch, yaw, roll, those are all done automatically. Again, because it's a camera-based system, it does have the uneven floor compensation. And again, one of the most cool time-saving features now is the laser-guided 360 AVM calibration. So I just quickly wanted to show you guys what the laser system looks like. So you mount these lasers onto the sliding plates, and essentially the Autel's created these workflows and procedures that will provide the outlines and essentially guide you where to place those 360 mats. So it takes away the need to make all of those measurements on measurements and marks on the ground. And just coming back to the last pro, again, it's around the precise calibration reports, something that we covered in a previous video. Now, moving on to the cons, there really aren't very many, since this system really is leading the industry across all the different features. So really it is just cost that might be something that prevents people from getting one of these systems. Now quickly, who is this system for? Absolutely, in terms of high volume shops, this system will continue to reduce the workflow time with all the automations, especially with the 360 calibrations and reducing the amount of manual measurements that are needed there, which happen to be, a big bottleneck for a lot of shops. Again, speed, automation, but also precision. So with the automation, there's less room for user error. And lastly, there's people who just want the best, the latest, the greatest. People who just like technology, definitely the type of system for you.